finally off my ass and ready to review something new. Or kind of new, I guess. This video is going to be fun for me because, as you've already figured out from the title, I'm going to be reviewing 2 shows in this video. So, let's get into it. Oh, Ozark. What a show. Truth be told, I started in the first place because I heard people mentioning its similarities to Breaking Bad. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that this show is nothing like Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is much more action-packed and quick-paced, where Ozark stands out in how it sets up a slow-burn formula, rather than each season feeling like it's upping the ante. It's more like an overarching story that slowly unravels itself. I think this kind of formula is interesting, but it's a problem that's most apparent during its first season. I like its first season, but in the grand scale of things, it almost feels like it's sacrificed to be the establishing part of the show, as if its only purpose is to place our characters and stories into the proper pieces ready to move forward. And you might think that that's how most shows are, but it doesn't feel right with Ozark. That's the best way I can explain it, I don't know. But I will say that the second season does a really good job at picking up the pace a little more and giving our characters something more intriguing to strive for in the season. But season 3... now this is truly good television. I said immediately after I finished it that I think season 3 of Ozark is on par with the quality of Better Call Saul or even Breaking Bad. It does everything I could hope for a show like this to do. It brings all of our characters to their breaking points and puts them in positions to make hard decisions that furthers their development in extensive ways. And finally, season 4. Truth be told, I actually finished the show about a month and a half before writing this, but it took me a little while to fully gather my thoughts on how I feel about it. I think the final season is good up until the mid-season finale. Now, if you didn't know, Ozark was officially going to be canceled after season 3, but the creator of the show managed to push for the final season to at least wrap things up. This feels a little obvious when it comes to the final episode. It's very controversial as the fan base has divided between calling it a fitting ending or the worst episode of the show. I've come to feel a little bit more positive about it because I like that it stays true to its slow burn formula. I just think the result of the episode itself is set up and paid off a little too quickly. But still, I mostly like the tone that the show leaves off with and the open-ended nature that we say goodbye to our characters in. Now, I think my main gripe with the show is how it handles the deaths of its characters. For one, most of them are done for shock value, which I think works really well in some cases, but there are a couple of deaths off the top of my head that really didn't serve the story in a good way. Now, another gripe I can't get over is the color grading in the first season. It's kind of ugly, if I'm being honest. There's this dark blue filter that I just found very distracting from the cinematography, and I know that it was intentional, but still, I just wasn't a fan. Overall, I do think the show is pretty great and worth a watch, but the main thing to remember is that it is nothing like Breaking Bad. It's a much slower paced form of storytelling, and you just kind of have to get behind that. All in all, I'd give the show about a 7.5 due to its first and last season having a few problems here and there, but without a doubt, its third season is a solid 8.5 in my opinion. And now for Wayne. Now, already by the title, I'm gonna guess that most of you haven't seen this show. It basically flew under the radar in 2019, mostly because it was a YouTube original and its promotion didn't gain a lot of traction. Wayne is an action-adventure show about a young kid named Wayne who finds out from his dying father that a car that was meant as a gift for him was stolen years ago. So Wayne sets out on an adventure across the country to go retrieve it. Now, the first thing I'd like to say about this show is that it's written quite well. I think the dialogue is witty and the characters are just really compelling and they play off each other really well. I think what surprised me the most is how fresh the show actually felt compared to what's on TV right now. It really came out of left field, and it's by the same writers as Deadpool, which drew me in the first place. As of right now, there's only one season, and I can't speak too much on it, but I think it leaves off in a great place that lends well to a second season. What I like so much about the show is that it fully takes the time to just flesh out all of the motivations of each characters. I especially like Dell, and I think she's probably one of the best in the show, and I think she's written quite well. I think Clara Bravo and Mark McKenna do fantastic jobs as the leads, and it's quite impressive to see considering they hadn't done much before this, and so it's really nice to see how much life and energy that they bring to both of their characters. There's a lot of genuine moments where their chemistry just shines through and you just can't help but feel for these characters. What I like the most about the show is truly its pacing. I love the fact that it manages to take its time in the story that it's trying to tell, especially the fact that there's an entire episode dedicated to fleshing out the backstory of one of our main characters. It just works really well, and it does a lot to add to the uniqueness of the show in the first place. Now, in a show like this, I think the characters are the most important part, which is why I appreciate the fact that they're so fun and engaging, and just their performances are so damn infectious, and I think they play off each other really, really well. Now the show, it only has 30-minute episodes, which is why I praise, and I mean I praise the pacing of this show heavily, because it manages to fully flesh out their development in such a short amount of time. The show is paced well, its characters are fleshed out nicely, and each episode manages to be fun and engaging while each one's still feeling different, which I think really adds to the fact that this is an adventure show. I don't have much more to say about it other than I'm eagerly awaiting a second season, and if you haven't seen the show already, then it is definitely my number one recommendation at the moment. So overall, I give the first season of Wayne about an 8.5 out of 10, and now I eagerly await a second season.